So in this video, I want to share with you some nuggets I've gained in my last 7 years of being a family partnership professional. And as I share each nugget, I'm going to share a story to go with it. And that'll give you some context for where this nugget comes from and how you can use it in your work with families, with individuals, with yourself. If you are easily triggered, if you're easily offended, if you don't want to hear someone else's perspective, click off. You are free to go. But for those who are interested in growing together, this content is for us, okay? So the first place my eyes land, and I'm reading from my journal here, is a cup of coffee or a cup of tea on a hard morning can make a difference in a Mother's Day. Okay, I'll read that one more time. A cup of coffee or a cup of tea on a hard morning can make a difference in a Mother's Day. So I was working as a family support specialist in one of our wonderful San Francisco schools. I was supporting a particular family that was in transition. They were commuting from Hayward, California to San Francisco. And again, they're in transition. They are in distress financially. And that morning, their car broke down. So that's another stressor on them. So when mom gets to school, I say to mom, "It's so good to see you this morning. You know, what can I do for you? I know your car broke down. What can I do for you?" Some of the conversation in education and social justice is examining doing with versus doing to and doing for. Now, we don't want to do anything to somebody, of course. We want to work with people, you know. The other thing is doing for someone. We don't want to do things for people in certain ways, but when we think about providing a service, you know, a service is doing something for somebody, you know, so we kind of have to hold space for the for in that regard. And when you approach a parent or you approach any person when they are already in distress, when they're already surviving, and you ask them, "What can I do for you?" and you have a certain level of warmth and intention and attention to them, it makes a difference. You know, what can I do with you right now? After they've had a stressful morning, may not resonate, but what can I do for you? It's so good to see you. I know you're having a hard morning. What can I do for you? Just changes the tone. As we move forward in creating the world that we want to see, there are certain things that we cannot abandon for the sake of transformation. We have to stay on the foundation of treating people with respect and with dignity, and sometimes that requires asking, "What can I do for you?" Now, the main point is that a cup of coffee or a cup of tea on a hard day can make a difference in a Mother's Day. That cup of tea or cup of coffee. So she said, "You know, I just want a cup of coffee." And I said, "I've got some for you." And I was so happy. It's the small things, okay? Don't try to be all complex and you can't do simple stuff. Don't try to run down there and you can't be right here. You know, we have to be balanced. And to be balanced is to harmonize between eternity and time, between the spirit and the flesh. We want to be between our divinity and our humanity. We want to be able to be directors of how we engage with people, you know. So to be in that space of balance is really key, you know. And just being able to have that cup of coffee for her and to see her regulate with, you know, and we're talking about nervous system renewal a lot as we talk about holistic health. Her being able to just sit with that hot cup of coffee and hold it and just relax, her shoulders softened, her jaw softened, her eyebrows relaxed. It's the simple things. Don't neglect the simplicity of what you can do trying to be intellectual, trying to be complex, trying to be, you know, reflective of what you've read in all the accolades you've achieved. Okay? Because we missed the mark doing that. Okay? Oh, here's a good one. People will surprise you with their response or reaction to you. It can be a hug when you least expect it. Let yourself be surprised. Oh my goodness. Now I'm gonna have to end on this one because I'm trying to do 1 minute on this one. People will surprise you with their response or reaction to you. Keyword, surprise. We don't like to be surprised. We want to know what's going on so we can prepare a response, right? We want to know where the exit is. We want to know what we need to grab before we move, right? Or if we make a lot of assumptions to protect ourselves, and we assume based off of previous knowledge, previous history, previous experience that may not have anything to do with that person. When we allow ourselves to be surprised in a good way, in a healthy and beneficial way, then we open ourselves up to these wonderful possibilities. Wonderful possibilities. It can be a hug when you least expect it. Let yourself be surprised. Let me tell you where that nugget comes from. I remember being at one of my sites, and there was a mom who was in a lot of pain. She had chronic illness. She had, or maybe it was chronic pain, but she was in a lot of pain. She had, well, it isn't illness, it's multiple sclerosis. You know, let me tell you how I found out, okay? So I always greet this mom, always practice warmth. It's good to see you. How are you? You know, I've gotten into the habit of saying, don't say how are you if you don't have time to listen. At least a little bit. I'll say, it's so good to see you. And then if I have to go, I have to go. So there you go. Okay, if I have to say, it's good to see you, I'll be right back, you know. But if I say, how are you? I got a little time to listen. Okay? So I would greet this mother, and I always gauge whether, you know, I will ask as well, but I'll gauge like how close I can stand to somebody based off of their warmth. I'm a empathic person, highly sensitive, so I pick up on things that, you know, some don't, but others do. And this mom, she would, you know, be like, oh, she was in pain, right? So she couldn't be as vibrant as she wanted to be sometimes, and maybe as I wanted her to be sometimes. So there was a moment where I saw her and I was like, Ashley, just keep going. She's not going to want to say too much. She's, you know, gotta go, and she's in pain. And she surprised me. She said, Ashley, it's so good to see you. I've been thinking about you. I said, aw, that's so nice. And then she said, and I just love your hugs. They are always so warm. I didn't know that she thought that way, because I had to be gentle with her because she has a lot of pain. And how I found out she has multiple sclerosis is that she said I had a spinal tap, and they kept giving me the needle trying to find the right place. We're not going to talk about how Black women are treated, how Black people are treated when they say they're in pain, and that's another topic. I probably can't even speak on that, but you know already. And for her to share that experience with me, and then to be able to say, can I give you a hug before I go? Yes, always. I love your hugs. Wow. Okay. Now this is not okay. I took more than 1 minute. Oh, well, I want you to know this because you're more essential than you know. Let yourself be surprised. Stay curious about what's possible. Don't neglect the simple things trying to be complex, trying to be intellectual and all your degrees and all this, you know, what you've accomplished in the first quarter and the second quarter, and now people need to come to you because you're so busy. That's irrelevant when we talk about treating people with respect and dignity and creating mutuality. If any of these points resonated with you, leave a comment below. What is a nugget you've gained as a person working with families, youth, individuals in any industry, or just with your own family? What have you gained? Let me know. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.